मैं चाहे कुछ भी कहूं, मेरे बहकावे में मत आना।
Okay, so wonderful to be joined by one of my favorites, R Madhavan. Thank you so much for joining us on Filme Shilmy, Maddie. It's amazing to have you as always.
Finally, Anuj, finally. I mean, we've been trying to do this for such a long time. I'm so happy to see you here today.
Absolutely. Now, very soon it's going to be your Silver Jubilee, Maddie. And I think all of the roles that you've done up till now have been about inner strength of sorts and, finding that strength within. But here we are in a film like Shaitaan, where you are an antagonistic power, a malevolent power. So, from you being the one who has always sort of found inner strength in the films to actually you testing someone else's inner strength, how would you sort of summarize your mindscape in exploring such a character?
That's a brilliantly put question, Anuj. Wonderfully done, actually. I never looked at it like that, but it is true. From finding inner strength to testing somebody's inner strength has been a 25-year-old long journey, and I'm, Anuj, at the stage that I'm in, it's really exciting to be able to explore and come up with new stuff after 25, close to 25 years in the industry. One feels elated that there is still relevance in what you're doing instead of being typecast already and doing the same kind of roles because that is what is expected of you. I feel like a youngster who's just entered the industry again. I feel like I'm actually competing with the youngsters because I feel I have so much more to give and nobody really knows what is inside this brain of mine. And so, yeah, to play evil and such extreme amount of evil on screen before is not something that I expected to do, but I'm so excited about it, and most importantly, supremely nervous before the release.
Right. Now, supernatural horror is definitely an arena which is not new to you. You explored this in 13B, which honestly gave me immense amount of childhood nightmares. I cannot tell you enough. So I think when you are familiar with this horror world, for you as an actor, do you necessarily feel the need to not just rely on the material you have at hand, i.e., the script and the director's commands, but also perhaps delve into a side of you or tap into a very dark side to you as a person as well?
So, Anuj, I'd like to say very categorically that there is not horror. 13B also is a thriller. Horror is when you have spooky things happening in terms of jump scares, in
Mm,
terms of, like I said, there is a difference between fright and fear.
right.
13B instills fear,
Mm,
not fright, not a boo, not something that is popping out of the corner, right? That's not the case with Shaitan either. It's just what a family is going through and the kind of fear you feel for them because of this hugely devilish guy who's trying to push them to the brink of sanity, right? So
mm.
for me to be able to play so to go back to your question, I'm just trying to say that uh, exp- exploring it is not an option. One has to explore and one has to crack it. One has to deliver a performance that people don't let us say sidetrack saying, oh, great attempt. That's the worst thing that can happen to a character or an attempt or a movie or a storytelling, if people are indifferent to it. So I didn't have a choice. I just have to take the whole long yard and jump across and make sure I frighten the life out of everybody
Mm.
as far as the storytelling is concerned. And I think with Shaitan, I enjoyed doing it. I dug deep to make sure that I don't know if it is necessarily evil side of me, but a side of me that has never been seen on camera before. That's what I had to dig deep enough to find.
And I do definitely think it's going to be one of your most milestone performances by far. I mean, I saw the trailer and I was like, I can't believe this is the Maddie I know. I mean, this is not the Maddie I know. Who are you? No, so I think it was
From your lip, from your lips to God's ears, brother. Thank you so much.
definitely always, Maddie, always. But I think also when it does come to fear, like you said, I think fright and fear, which you mentioned in your statement just now, which I think is a very fascinating thing. In life, there's been times when kala jadoo nahi, but there's been things and circumstances in life which has really put us on edge, where we are perhaps uh, in Ajay's position, as he is in the film. Uh, has there ever been a time when you've had to really fight darkness, and how do you think that spirit of goodness helped you at that point in life?
Oh, absolutely, on a much more frequent level than you think. It's suddenly when friends and and acquaintances, are brainwashed by a lot of things that they see on social media or on TV or media, and they start behaving irrationally. Perfectly sane people who you could predict their next move or kind of know what they are suddenly go into a spin which is so irrational that you can't quite comprehend where they got it from. And being close to them, it's your responsibility to make sure they see the light in the sense of what they're doing and come back to normalcy as soon as possible. I've seen that happen many a times. Maybe
Mm,
because of the choices they make, maybe because of the sudden loss of faith in what they're doing, maybe because of the complete termination of a relationship that thought was going to last a lifetime for no reason. You get to see this on a daily basis, but when it starts affecting you and your family, when it's a question of their lives, then you want to know how a person will react, and that's what we're exploring in Shaitan.
right. And I think also, I mean, you like you rightly said as well, and 25 years in the business, but you've always been resilient. I mean, even if it was you not getting that part in Iruvar, but you screen tested for many years ago, but you still have stuck at it. And I think when it comes to familiarity, I think it's wonderful to see. I think you and Jyotika are reuniting in this film after a long time.
Yeah.
Again, you and Ajay have not shared screen space until now, which is actually quite baffling because you guys both did Yuva, like the Hindi version and the Tamil version, respectively, but you've never really shared screen space. So when you are as an actor, how comfortable does one necessarily be, after working so many years with familiarity and stranger experiences as well?
Ooh, great research, Anuj. I'm very impressed. Thank you. Yeah, I just figured you were right. We did Yuva, which is two different films, but the same story. As far as the portrayal of the role goes on set, I have to give full credit to Ajay sir because he never let the power equation off the set to be shown on set while doing our scenes together. He's definitely a big superstar, worthy of the greatest amount of respect. But the amount of disdain that I'm showing him as a character in the film, I was able to do it without hesitation because he allowed me the comfort of doing that and going way beyond what I've ever explored in my life. And when you have a co-star like that, it becomes so much more thrilling. You want to finish the shot and go look at him and say, "What do you think?" And he goes, "Hey, man, that was awesome." It's good to know. And you're being irreverent to him. You're being nasty to him. But that once the shot is over, he comes and pats you on the back and says, "Damn good." Yeah, makes it all. You just suddenly find that you're part of a glorious, glorious industry, and I'm very grateful for that experience.
And I think when Vash came out, which is obviously Shaitan's
Excuse me.
the original film of Shaitan, the Gujarati film, it was a big milestone for Gujarati cinema because we had not seen horror films of this nature in the Gujarati language. And I also kind of feel like even for the longest amount of time in the Hindi language, see, in Malayalam, I think they've nailed horror to the absolute H. Whereas in Hindi, I feel like it's often diluted with a lot of sex and romantic item songs and all of these stuff. Why do you think, for the longest amount of time, Hindi cinema was not able to perhaps grasp supernatural horror in its right essence?
I think the makers start feeling insecure in between because they think there's not enough commercial elements in the movie. First of all, I have barely seen any A-listers do horror or thriller of this genre, either in Hollywood or in Bollywood, right? Now that Ajay Devgn sir is doing it, it becomes even more easier for others to follow suit. But before that, you had to have your plugins in place, your safety walls, like I call them. So you have to have your bit of titillating and your bit of song and dance just to make sure you've covered all the bases in case the horror storytelling didn't work. And therefore, you dilute the entire effort of telling a horror story. We didn't do that in 13B. We tried our best to keep away from all the trappings as much as possible. But if you look at movies like this, real horrors in Hollywood, they've never really been attempted by A-listers either.
Hmm.
Very, I
Yeah.
can't at the top of my hand think of anything that is that I can, unless you consider Dracula and stuff like that as a horror film. But when I'm talking about horror, I'm talking about sheer horror. But I haven't seen any A-listers actually dwell with that. So it's gonna. I think this is a great move. I think it's fabulous that Ajay sir started this, and if this film
Hmm.
does well, then we're hoping that bigger actors and bigger productions jump into this and make it
Right.
into a
Very
worthy genre.
sure. Very quickly, final question. Part one to the question is a big. Sorry, I need to break it up. So number one,
No worries.
is
Take your
obviously
time.
you acted. You've been a phenomenal actor and a director in Rocketry. You know how much I love that film and what it really meant not just to meet with so many of us, and you even very well deserved got a National Film Award for that. So having done that, and now that you're aware of the skills as well as a director and a producer, did that sensibility help and benefit you when you're playing such a meaty role like this? And going forward, can we see you take the front seat again as a director and producer going forward too?
I'm going to answer the second part of the question first. I'm not motivated enough yet to be able to take up the director's mantle yet. I'm hoping that I find something that motivates me enough so that people don't think I was a flash in the pan as far as direction was concerned. And for that, I need to find a subject that motivates me. This first part of your question, yeah, you do tend to bring that to the foreground as a director or a storyteller or a screenplay writer or a producer. But there's a lot more pleasure in leaving all those heavy chains behind and just being an actor. So sometimes while doing the role, you are a little more enriched because of these experiences, and you know what you're doing. So you know where the cut is going to be, you know which angle is going to be used, you know which is the money shot. As a director, you know all those things, so you know when to perform. But I prefer the pure acting responsibility on the set to be of utmost excitement to me, and I'm going to dwell in that for a bit.
All right. Well, look, on that note, Maddie, thank you so much for joining me on Filme Shilmy. It's always such a pleasure to always interact with you and to always hear your experiences. And I really do think that potentially, and fingers crossed, manifesting another National Film Award coming your way after this one. So thank you so much, Maddie, and wishing you all the very best. And
You're
congratulations.
very kind, Anuj. Thank you so much. I've always been the sweetest, and I'm very touched. Thank you.
Always, brother. All right. Take care, Maddie.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks for the lovely interview, man. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank